Good morning. This session is devoted to outcome-based teaching learning. And I have slightly expanded it, include assessment also, because when we say teaching learning of outcome, it is very important, no doubt, but demonstrating that teaching learning is effective needs to be implemented through assessment. In my lecture, in this presentation, there will be some repetition. I have seen your schedule. You might have covered something earlier, but for sake of continuity, I shall be quickly devoting, including some of those concepts which you have. This will help you reinforce it. This will help you to connect the various concepts. See, outcome-based education is a holistic approach to educate and transform student into a successful and happy person based on desired goals and outcomes. That is, what kind of student we want to train, want to educate, we want to prepare for the life. We decide, that means faculty and the institution. It is our decision. Outcome-based education represents the most important. In fact, this is a methodology which is the most important and being adopted all over the world. All major universities have already done it, other universities are doing it. The reason being, it addresses those issues which have become so important in the present day changing technological scenes. And you will also know that our new education policy 2020 lays strong emphasis on this mode of teaching and learning and to bring out the intellectual competencies of students. So please appreciate outcome-based education. Now, when I'm implementing principles of education, OBE, then I have to demonstrate it. I have to implement it. Now, OBE approach simply says, what do you want the student to imbibe or able to do? That means we decide that what kind of knowledge they should gain, what kind of skill they should develop, what kind of attitude and behavior. That means what kind of human being they should evolve, they should grow as a citizen of this society. How can you best help students achieve this? In order that student gains all these things, what is the best way of doing it? Please see here. But the best way, that responsibility is that of the faculty and the institute. That means delivery or the lectures, the method that we use, they should be student-centric, student-oriented. Then, have we done that? That means, how will you know that they have achieved it? That means, it's again a responsibility of the institute to ensure that what they have decided to impart to the students have been gained by the student, have been achieved by the student. And this is through assessment and evaluation. And then not only OB stops here, OB says demonstrate improvement. Are the students improving or not? That means you analyze, act, and improve. Please appreciate the emphasis of OBE. It wants that the institute's responsibility to train and educate the student to be a successful and a good human being. So the basic philosophy of OBE is also all students have talents and the job institute develop it. Role of institute is to find ways for students to succeed rather than finding ways for students to fail. Excellence is for every student and not just for few. Students should imbibe a mindset of collaboration rather than competition. As far as possible, no student should be excluded from any activity in the institute. A positive attitude and mindset is essential on the part of the management and faculty. Please see here, the central focus of OBE says if the mindset of the management which has to be committed to the improvement of the student. If you believe that you can get every student to learn well, they will learn well. So thus indicating that the student should gain the attributes which are required by the society, which are required by the employer, which are required by the nation, by the country. That means the student should acquire the attributes such as collaboration, project solving, creativity, in depth understanding, self confidence. They should become autonomous, they should become competent human beings. They should be thinkers. They should be persons with perseverance. That means they should have experience where they don't accept failure, but failures act as motivators for the students. So the aim of implementing OBE framework is that students should imbibe those skills which are required by the employer, which are required by the industry, which are required by in the this ever-changing technological era and empowering them. So the aim of OBE is this. That's why OBE is becoming so popular. Now OBE is a framework which focuses not only on the syllabus or on the curriculum, it focuses on the improvement. Now for that purpose, OBE says what the student should achieve. Design your outcome-based curriculum. That means how to make the student to achieve what we want them. Then outcome-based learning and teaching. That means what kind of instructional methods, what kind of assessment methods should be deployed in order that students learn maximum. Their natural potential, their natural competencies are enhanced and developed. Then how to measure it? Now, measurement of the learning of the student is also a central point of OBE, which means a method should be such. Just 1 minute, please. गोसाई जी मैं ना वेबिनार से गया हूँ थोड़ी देर बाद गल करने आप Now, this means the OBE emphasizes you implement the teaching learning in such a way that there is a continuous improvement of the student learning. Please appreciate this thing. And continuous learning has to be demonstrated by the teaching learning processes, by the institute, and so on. This is an explicit emphasis in the OBE framework. In the traditional framework, we measure the improvement through examinations. Here, there is a difference, as we will see that. Teaching learning method will be different. Assessment will be different because I want to assess the students not only the knowledge but the skills. How do I do that? OBE says define learning outcomes. What is a learning outcome? Now, you are all familiar with outputs, outcomes. Are you familiar? I am sure by now you must be familiar with learning outcome also. When we say learning outcome, it has a very broad meaning. OBE framework mandates. Now, those learning outcomes must be defined beforehand. Now, outcome-based education framework mandates defining student learnings and ascertaining that the student has learned what he is required to learn has been achieved and then demonstrated as well. Please appreciate this thing. This is student learns and then proves that he demonstrates that he has learned that. That's a learning outcome or educational learning or educational student outcomes. So learning outcomes involve what a learner is expected to know, gain knowledge, understand, and be able to demonstrate at the end of a learning process. The way such outcomes are defined and written orients teaching and learning methods. See, this today's session is on teaching learning method. How do I decide that? Please remember, learning is not only gaining knowledge, learning in many more things. We are going to look at those things. Learning is gaining skills, learning is gaining habits, learning is developing attitude. So when I say the learning of the student, what does it mean? It means not only knowledge, but attitude, behavior. The way such outcomes are defined, written, orient teaching and learning method activities and influences the quality and relevance of education and training. Learning outcomes are defined and designed in such a way that they are attainable and measurable. teaching, learning and methods are decided accordingly. What it signifies is the following. There is outcome. When I say learning outcome, it has in the educational system, it has four components: knowledge, skill, attitude, and value, behavior, and etc. So when I say knowledge, this means knowledge and skill what a student is required to learn as a part of the discipline and is able to use that to implement that knowledge. Now, an important thing which OBE mandates to be implemented is the development of the attitude, belief system, enhancing them, imbibing human values in the student. That is, imbibing ethics, diversity, personal identity, motivation. OBE say this is also the responsibility of the institute to inculcate in the student. That means our delivery instructional method, our assessment method should be such that they imbibe human values in the student. And the student develops an attitude which is creates harmony. Our instructional method should be such that when a student spends 3 years, 4 years, 5 years in the education institution, then he has to learn not only knowledge, discipline knowledge, but he has to gain other skills also, behavior, societal concerns. So, learning outcomes are implemented through the help of curriculum. This we have already learned. And in the curriculum, we have a syllabus. Syllabus, there are various courses, and courses, when a student completes a particular, let's say, course, program, it is a program. So OBE says define course outcomes, define program outcomes. That means what are the learning of the student when he finishes one course, say after one semester or 2 semesters, what he learned on completion of the complete program. That means he getting a B Tech degree. Now please see here, the methods of instructional method, teaching method are to be decided by these constraints. We have made our own decision, but we want our student to be like this. Another very important thing is the learning of human beings may be classified into 3 domains. This might expose, I will quickly go through it. If you not, please do ask questions. Don't hesitate. Let's make it interactive so that you enjoy this. See, human learning is not only knowledge and skills. Human learning is three parts: cognitive, affective, and psychomotor. This is what Bloom taxonomy has investigated and found a lot and found tremendous acceptability of this. So when I say cognitive, it means knowledge and skills, attitude and behavior, manual and physical skills. Now, cognitive domain help to decide mental skills. That means in mental skills, we have thinking skills, we have problem solving skills. Some students are very good in problem solving. Some persons are very good in handling complex aspects. Some persons are very good in communications. Some persons are very good in repeating those things. So in cognitive domains, we define 2 types of skills. Now, these 2 types of skills you might have seen. Now, the lower order skill you might have introduced as remember, understand. These 3 lower levels, they define the lower order skills. The upper one decide the higher order skills. So higher order thinking skills are those which involve analysis, evaluation, and creation. Now, when I decide in structural method for the class, now is it a school level? Is it a college level? We have lectures in the college, we have lectures in the school, we have lectures in the university. We have lectures for junior students, we have lectures for senior students. Now, what is our goal? See, if I'm delivering my course to a higher level student, 4th year at BTech say, then my emphasis should be how I can ignite their higher order thinking skills, like evaluation, application, creativity. So which method should I use it? Just following a textbook is not adequate. So goals involve higher order thinking skills, have embedded in them involving lower and order thinking. What kind of level of skills you want the student to imbibe at the end of the course will be decided by the type of questions, by the type of instructional method that you use. Now, there are a variety of skills. Knowledge is what we have as a syllabus. But are skills that students should learn: analytical skill, oral communication skill, creative problem solving, system thinking skill, that understanding the whole system, ethics and professionalism, technology and skill, project management skills, then visual communication skill, written skill, teamwork skill, design thinking skill, programming skills, self-learning, and so on. Now, the reason I'm saying all this, the method that I'm going to use for instruction has to imbibe these skills in the student. There will be some methods who are very good for imbibing communication skills. There are some methods which emphasize more on design thinking skill. There are some methods which are making students self-learning and so on. The reason I'm emphasizing these things is these are part of the learning of the student, and the structural method that we choose as a teaching learning should do. All methods don't do this thing. I shall also explain it to you which method brings out more emphasis on discipline, which method brings more on knowledge or on skills or on this. Now, an effective domain include the manner in which we deal with the things emotionally, such as feelings, values, appreciation, motivation, and attitude. Now, I want you may be aware of growth mindset and fixed mindset. When a student is learning in the institution, we should train his mindset to be growth mindset. We should train him to be a good human being. We should train him to be a good citizen. We should train him to be caring person. We should train him to be a grateful person. This is all covered in the affective domain. Now, this domain includes the manner in which we deal with things emotionally, such as feelings, values, how to appreciate good work, how to give the feedback. No, we give feedback. Sometimes we say we appreciate things. Why do we appreciate things? It is not a part of any syllabus. It's a part of the learning. So affective domain learns values, emotion, beliefs, attitude, and feeling. These are the guide and foundation of thinking. So, and the psychomotor domain, we have strength, manual. These are manual activities. Precision, use of instruments, flexibility, being able to deploy a particular instrument in the different use. Let us say जैसे डॉक्टर्स कैसे करते हैं, स्टेथोस्कोप यूज़ करते हैं, लैब में हम लोग मशीन्स यूज़ करते हैं, प्रिसीजन होता है, कितनी कई बार कई एक्टिविटी में स्ट्रेंथ की ज़रूरत पड़ती है एंड सो depending upon what we are making students to learn, we decide the teaching learning methods. So teaching learning methods are aligned with the outcomes. Outcome I'm repeating now. Outcome knowledge, skill, attitude, and behavior. So our teaching learning method is aligned with this. Teaching learning activities, assessment criteria are aligned with learning outcomes. Correlation between teaching, learning outcomes, and assessment helps to make the overall learning experience better, more transparent, and meaningful for the student. That means what are intended learning outcomes? What are the corresponding teaching learning methods which help us to achieve that type of learning by the student? Please appreciate this aspect. This is not there in a traditional system, but it's being emphasized. It's a integral part of the outcome-based education framework. And when I choose my teaching learning method, I have to keep this in mind. So say now, what are the salient teaching learning methodologies which we have been using, which are in use, which can be used, which can be developed, which can be deployed to enhance the student learning? Any question here, please? I have given you a quick background how to choose a teaching learning method, because same teaching learning method may not be appropriate for the gain of learning of the student, knowledge, attitude, behavior, or precision. Please appreciate here. So I've given you the background with a view how to choose a selection, how to choose a salient, how to choose a teaching learning methodology. Now, traditional classroom, main teaching by the teacher in the classroom and assignments completed by the student. Now, you please, we are, let's say 95%, we are following, everyone is following what is given in the syllabus, what is given in the textbooks, whatever is given there, we deliver it in the classroom, have some assignments. We make some assignments ourselves as teachers. Otherwise, mainly, I'm not saying all, mainly assignments are what are given in textbook. So mainly our lecture-oriented method revolves around textbooks. Students are also trained, their mindset is prepared to clear the examination. ठीक है, इसमें our teachers are very good, our students are very good, but the method we follow for delivery, for teaching and learning, for delivery of instructional, for teaching and learning has limitations. Because traditional teaching and learning approach did not distinguish, has not distinguished between gaining knowledge and gaining and developing attitude, developing mindset. Their emphasis has not been there. Some students are good, their nature has given them. Some students are self-learner, nature has given them. There are students who learn by watching things. So these are natural things. Let us say in a classroom of 60 students, there are 20%, 30% who are self-learners, or they can learn with small instruction. What about other 70%? OBE says all students are potential learners. All students can learn. It is a responsibility of the institute and the faculty to ensure that student learns those things which he himself is not learning, but our instructional methods are such that he follows them and learns them. Please appreciate these things. That's where the choice of teaching learning method is there. Then now the traditional method, flipped classroom. Now flipped classroom is a pedagogical approach in which the traditional elements of the lesson taught by the teacher are reversed. क्या स्टूडेंट घर पे पढ़ते हैं प्राइमरी में materials are studied by students at home and then they are worked in the classroom. This approach of teaching learning has become quite popular and in recent years. Now we are adopting this. Because there are many resources of self-learning. Students are encouraged to self-learn. They are given some assignment, some references. They study at home. When they come to the classroom, some institutions follow this, other institutions do not follow this. But this is one of the instructional methods. Now, then the cooperative learning, methodology that teachers use to group students together and thus impact on learning in a positive way. It is advocated that working in a group improves the attention, involvement, and acquisition of knowledge of students. Then, blended method, teaching learning, which has a traditional lecture method and it has a computer-based method. This approach to teaching learning blends traditional lectures with portions of coursework that are computer-based and typically delivered in an online format. In the blended teaching learning allows students to learn partly through traditional, direct interaction, and classroom instruction. That means it's a blend of the various ways of learning it. Students can learn at their own pace through online units while away from classroom. But this has been possible because of the internet. And students are, this is proved quite useful. Now, another salient methodology is the problem solving and teaching learning. Because nowadays, students have become very intelligent compared to our age. Compare 10 years, 12 or 15 year student now and a 15 year student about 10 years back. Everyone we realize the modern day students, they are more informed, they are better educated, self-educated, they have a lot of learning resources and so on. So now the issue is still they are not very happy. They want more challenging things. And this method of problem-based teaching learning, what our goal? Our goal is to teach the student about the subject matter, about acquire skills, develop human attitude, growth mindset, etc. So student center, this is a student center approach, that is a student oriented approach, in which students learn about a topic, subject by solving open-ended real life problems. Please appreciate one thing. What we do now, the problems that are given in the textbook, problem which are given in the textbook, students are not happy with that. They may not be real life problems. Now, in real life problem, challenges are because there are so many unknown parameters. And when a student enters into real life, then a textbook problem only serve to familiarize him, but they never learned how to solve the real life problems. So real life problems are student focused. Student given opportunity and a real life problem which he solves it. So student centered approach in which students learn about a topic solved by solving open ended real life problems. For example, you want to teach a student about problem solving skill. You give him a problem which is not very difficult, which is he can solve it by looking at some references, by discussion with the peer group or discussion with the teachers. That means you are empowering the student as being in autonomous to handle those problems which are real life but not very difficult. And student gains confidence. He develops his learning skill. He develops his thinking skills. He learns the habit of cooperation. Students are assigned a problem by the teacher with only preliminary information. Then they identify resources and work to find the solution. Their time may maybe 10 days or 15 days, depending upon the way you run. They're not, they're not expected to design or produce a product or prototype. Please see here. They solve a problem, a difficulty, a slight difficulty. But please see that in real life, problems are not, issues are not that easy. I want to solve a problem. Let's say, take the case of, let's say, you want to prepare a battery driven rickshaw for Ladakh or Leh, using the rickshaw which was replicable, battery which was running the rickshaw in Delhi or in Chandigarh or in Chennai. This battery will be same usable in Leh? No. Leh temperature, Leh environment. This indicating that the real life problems are such that they involve quite complicated issues which are not given in any textbook, which are not part of any algorithm, and so on. These are the real life problems of the realistic life situation. Now, student is more satisfied when he gets this kind of challenges. Studies have proven, studies have proven that students who are exposed to real life problems, they do better, they learn better, their learning outcomes are better, they imbibe a growth mindset, they learn from failures. So, another method which is learning from experiential learning. How do we learn from experience? Supposing a student has failed in one effort, should he leave that effort or should he know? He should learn from the failure. Now, this kind of method has come to be known as process-based teaching learning method. It's again an instructional method where student gets an opportunity to develop knowledge, skills, and competencies by engaging themselves in real life projects, which are normally 4 to 6 months, 3 months, and so on. That means they are of longer duration, where student gets an opportunity to think, to fiddle with the issues, to discuss with the peers, to find out the literature, and so on. Please appreciate these things. This is again a student-centric teacher and instructional method. Teaching learning by experience. Now, project-based learning imbibes in the student a mindset where he becomes an individual who can explore things by himself or herself. This is what OBE wants, to make students autonomous, to make students self-learner. There is strong emphasis on student understanding, what it is they are doing, why they are doing it, why it's important, how they will be assessed. Please note here, assessed is a very important component. Student, because it's a learning. PBLA, I'm using project-based teaching learning approach. I'm calling it PBTL. PBTL fosters lifelong learning and gaining newer skills. Because real life problems, real life situations are different. They are not same. PBL fosters lifelong learning and gaining newer skills. With PBL approach, students are expected to come up with a working model or prototype of the real life project. So you want to ask the student to prepare a video of some experiment or some incidents, then the final video is a product. And the project was to finding out the software tool, finding out the type of camera, finding out the type of environment, finding out, and so many connected which may be needed for that preparing a video. Please appreciate, preparing a video is not that simple. It involves many kinds of learning, many kinds of skills. Many times teachers themselves may not know it. That the students understand this thing, that this assignment has been given with a purpose of developing those skills which were practical and experience, learned from experience. And problem-based teaching is on a small scale, which is a subset of project-based teaching learning. Now, how do I choose this instructional method? Please see here. So I want to see how much is the problem-solving skill student learned. Can I measure the examination? How much is the innovative thinking skill of the student he has imbibed? What is the creativity that he has developed over a period of time? What is the critical thinking that he has enhanced? Please remember, these attributes are nature given. Every human being has these attributes in his brain, and brain is a muscle. Muscle can be developed, and this development is through the teaching, learning, through the educational processes, which means instructional method. How do I choose an instructional method to enhance the innovative skill of the student? How I choose an instructional method to enhance the problem-solving skill of a teacher, of a student? So here, please appreciate, teachers need to be able to recognize and understand what discipline knowledge is required to be gained and enhanced, what students already know and don't know. They might have learned something in the first year, which can be deployed in the fourth year. Something which they might have learned they have to research it, they have to find out. That means what they know it already, what they can find out newer, which is that instructional method, what students already know and don't know. How to promote student engagement and autonomy, how to involve students. See, students जब नहीं समझ आती है ना तो भाग जाते हैं, शरारती तो होते ही हैं, लेकिन यहाँ पर हमें ये देखना है कि हमें उसके स्किल को कैसे एनहेंस करना है, How thinking skills can be fostered among students? Which digital tools are relevant and applicable? With appropriate instructional method of content delivery. Please see a choice of instructional method for teaching and learning. Product-based learning has strong potential to fully engage students of the digital age, modern age, changing student-teacher dynamics, giving students greater autonomy and support their learning, fostering 21st century skills and facing real-life problems. So this is an instructional method which gives us this value. Now the point is, how do I choose these teaching learning activities for developing cognitive skills, for developing effective skills? What are instructional methods? Teaching learning activity, learning outcomes. For learning outcomes are cognitive, affective, and psychomotor. For enhancing cognitive learning, lectures, tutorials, discussions, and laboratory works are relevant teaching and learning methods. Laboratory is very important for enhancing the analytical skill of the student, for enhancing understanding of the skill, what is learned in the class. Do we know what are learning outcomes of a lab work? What are the learning outcomes of a project? If I know those, then my method should give that. So teaching learning activities are learning cognitive learning outcomes or effective learning outcomes, group work, seminar. So when I say group work, students have to work in a group, maybe 3, 4, 5. They have to develop human feelings. They have to care for each other. They have to share things. They have to see to it how they can help each other. That's the group work. So when I'm doing group work, I am implementing effective domain learning in the student. How do I measure group work? How do I assess group work? Now, integration of beliefs, ideas, and attitudes is a part of effective. This one learns when one is working on a seminar. In seminar, I have to get help from others. It may or may not be, depending on the type of the seminar. It may be you have been doing seminars. We are all aware of this thing, but have you ever applied your mind what is learning of the seminar in terms of cognitive, in terms of affective, in terms of psychomotor, depending on this? Now, lab experiments are very important. Workshop, they help us to imbibe learning outcomes corresponding to psychomotor domain. That is the physical skills in the student. Which method will give it? You think lecture can give us? No. Do you think lecture can give us the effective domain learning? No. Lecture can only help us to learn about, gain knowledge. Lecture can never help us to develop a growth mindset. Lecture can never help us to implement precision in our work. So please appreciate the teaching learning activities that we select corresponding. We have developed all the three domains. So the teaching learning. Now, what is the proof that they have been developed? It's through assessment. So teaching learning assessment processes and activities are aligned with the intended learning outcomes. Teaching learning assessment processes and activities are aligned with the intended learning outcome. Please appreciate this thing. I'm emphasizing these things. The moment and intended learning outcome is what the teacher has decided. I'm repeating it here. And which means you want him to be a good, like a dancer, psychomotor domain, a good doctor, affective domain, a good scientist, cognitive domain. So these domains are relevant for all the three domains play a role. In some profession, a domain will be more important, predominant in another way. So learning and teaching activities designed to meet learning outcomes, that is intended learning outcome, then assessment method designed to assess learning outcomes, and so on. Please appreciate this. Now, have you laboratory? See, laboratory is an integral component. Laboratory is an instructional method. Please remember that. सिर्फ lecture instructional method नहीं है. Laboratory is also an instructional method. In laboratory, what is the cognitive learning the student gains? Yes, we have a, say nowadays, laboratory has become an integral part of every course. Computer laboratory, it may be economics course, it may be management course, any course, laboratory has become an integral part of. So learning outcome of laboratory work, example, what is cognitive learning? Improve knowledge about theory learned in the class. Help to verify the theory learned in the class. Improve ability to use formulas in solving problems. Improve ability to use the correct unit. See, many times, let's say in physical sciences, students do not know even the units. They don't understand significance of the units. In the lecture, teacher will tell them something. But when it comes to you, what is the significance of it? Help to develop basic statistical techniques, drawing graphs, charts, improve understanding about safety in the lab, improve ability to analyze and discuss, improve ability to work, improve ability to write, lab communication skills. So learning outcomes of laboratory work, of laboratory assigned, develop and improve team working skill, communication skill, ability to learn independently, ethics, that is plagiarism, copying others, social empathy, creativity, ability to learn from failure, motivation skills. This is a learning which is an effective domain in the laboratory. Then learning, this is again learning outcomes of laboratory work. Improve ability to plan experimental work, conduct experiments, select appropriate instruments, construct circuits, connect instruments, operate the instruments, take the reading of the instruments, so on. They all contribute to the learning of student. For example, how removing a parallax. It's a simple experiment. Many students do it quickly, others take time. This is one of the learnings, and so on. So when I say lab is a instruction method, in lab, we learn about cognitive, affective, and psychomotor knowledge gain. We learn from here. Then, coming back to the projects, and nowadays, projects are part of every curriculum. Remember, curriculum is not only syllabus. Curriculum is syllabus, co-curricular activities, plus extracurricular activities, and so on. The curriculum. Nowadays, projects are an integral part of every curriculum. See, it may be in the form of case studies, it may be in the form of projects. Now, doing real life projects of duration 3 to 6 months need to be made part of the curriculum. There are most of the curriculum has it. In fact, they have introduced in first year, second year, and it's a good thing. It's a learning from experience. Now, before I discuss any question, please here. Any questions? What's the interactive teaching learning is the best way of gaining knowledge. The more you ask questions, you are all teachers, very accomplished teachers. Many of them are very experienced. In fact, I always say our teachers are very, very good. Our system is not helping them to bring out the best among the students. Now they have started, of course, but still their competencies, they are compared with the best anywhere in the world.
Sir,
Please.
do you have any textbook? Because this teaching learning process, we learn like project-based learning, practical learning, cooperative learning. Any textbook material is there where you have got like what are the activities we can undertake to teach various subjects, some many projects, something like that.
नहीं
Because
ऐसे कोई टेक्स्ट बुक नहीं है नहीं अब
then,
देखिए ना प्रोजेक्ट बेस्ड लर्निंग का जैसे है दिस वेरीज दिस विल वेरी डिपेंडिंग ऑन द प्रोजेक्ट ये मतलब कि मैकेनिकल इंजीनियरिंग में है या सिविल इंजीनियरिंग में है या इलेक्ट्रॉनिक्स में है या लेट से थर्ड ये ना ये टीचर पे डिपेंड करेगा टीचर कैन बी गिवन ए ट्रेनिंग एंड एक्सपोजर अबाउट द प्रोसेस and then he finds himself what is the most relevant for the students. Here, teacher has to be a great learner.
yes,
That is the issue. That's why nowadays many workshops are held on project-based learning teaching for the एजुकेटर। ऐसी एक बुक हो नहीं, फॉर एग्जाम्पल इकोनॉमिक्स में एक मैनेजमेंट में केस स्टडी है, वो केस स्टडी कैसी होगी? वो जो टीचर का एक्सपीरियंस है, जो टीचर की लर्निंग है, वो उसको डिसाइड करेगी। और उस पर्टिकुलर टाइम पर कैसी प्रॉब्लम है, देयर आर रियलिस्टिक प्रॉब्लम्स, ये टेक्स्ट बुक प्रॉब्लम है ही नहीं। दैट मीन टीचर हैज टू बी ए क्रिएटिव इन दैट सेंस, train himself so that he can design those kind of projects. And let me add here one thing, please don't be afraid of failures. Failure is also a learning. जितना हम फेल होते हैं और उस फेलियर से लर्न करते हैं, उतना हमारा ब्रेन ज़्यादा शार्प होता है। ये बहुत सारी चीज़ें ऐसी हैं जो कि आजकल न्यूरो साइंस में यू टेल अस मैनी थिंग्स। डोंट बी अफ्रेड ऑफ फेलियर, get yourself failed, and then, but important thing, find out why I have failed. The moment I find the reason why I failed, I have learned it, I have gained something. And it's very difficult to prepare a textbook for these things, right? See, we all say हम प्रोजेक्ट तो कर रहे हैं, ये प्रोजेक्ट तो आप कर रहे हैं, बिल्कुल सही बात है, बट इशू ये है कि प्रोजेक्ट से लर्न क्या कर रहे हैं, अब प्रोजेक्ट का आउटकम क्या है। अब आप एक और क्वेश्चन पूछिए, आउटकम में क्या क्या आना है? वो तीनों चीजें आनी है, कॉग्निटिव, इफेक्टिव और साइकोमोटर। वो तीनों आ रही हैं कि नहीं आ रही हैं? अगर आ रही हैं तो असेस कर रहे हैं कि नहीं कर रहे हैं? अगर असेस कर रहे हैं तो क्या इंप्रूव कर रही हैं कि नहीं कर रही हैं? ये ओबीई की बहुत बड़ी कंट्रीब्यूशन है। पहले हम लोग क्या करते थे, लेक्चर दिया, स्टूडेंट क्लासरूम में प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व करी, इम्तिहान लिया, पास हो गया। ओबीई सेज नो, आई want not only students should gain knowledge, students should gain those skills and habits and mindset which make him a good human being. तो कहने से बात नहीं बनेगी, then you have to again bring in the assessment. How do I assess it? I can't assess the problem solving skill of a student through examination. I can't assess the student through, let's say, discussions only. It's only part of it. ओबी सेज आपको ये सिखाना है, ये सिखा के फिर ये प्रूव करना है कि स्टूडेंट ने ये सीख लिया है, फिर उसके बाद ये डिमॉन्स्ट्रेट करना है कि आप इम्प्रूव कर रहे हैं। प्लीज सी कितनी ब्यूटीफुल ये मेथोडोलॉजी है। बात सिर्फ करने की नहीं है, बात करना, करके दिखाना, इम्प्रूव करना। दैट्स वेयर ओबीई से एंड द इंस्ट्रक्शनल मेथड दैट आई यूज शुड फुलफिल दीज conditions. Now you say we have all, you say projects are part of the curriculum, पढ़ाई हमारे बच्चे करते हैं, पर कभी आपने ये असेस किया है उस बच्चे से, उस प्रोजेक्ट से बच्चे ने प्रॉब्लम सॉल्विंग स्किल कैसे, कौन सा गेन किया है? क्या असेस किया है कभी? नो। कौन से बच्चे का प्रॉब्लम सॉल्विंग स्किल दूसरे से अच्छा है? कौन से बच्चे ने क्रिएटिव स्किल इसमें से लर्न किया है? कितना किया है? क्या हम लर्न करते हैं? नो। Doing real life projects need to be made part of the curriculum. Project dissertation case studies are means of research. Research training means to find out, to investigate and encourage discovery of promoting learning. They are also very effective means of addressing concern to promote skills and employability, motivating and empowering students, promoting links between teaching and research. Parents spotting कौन बच्चा प्रॉब्लम सॉल्विंग स्किल में अच्छा है, कौन बच्चा जो है he is a good at the instruments, identifying potential research student, understanding nature and complex problem, diversifying assessment. Now I am going to discuss now with you process based learning method, teaching learning through process based approach. We all know project, a range of activities, correct? Project-based learning from the project activities performed, learning are the expected learning outcome, very right. Now, project-based learning implies, project-based learning is an instructional method in which students gain an opportunity to develop knowledge and skill by engaging themselves in real-life problems they come across or may face in the real world. This is the difference between project-based learning method and doing project. Please appreciate. अभी तक हम लोग करते हैं project, but we do projects. We never measure or assess the learning of that particular project. Project-based learning is not just doing the project, but refer to the learning acquired by doing the project. Kindly appreciate these things. So many of my friends will say, सर हम लोग प्रोजेक्ट करते तो हैं ही, मैं भी मानता हूँ करते हैं, क्या आपने ये उसमें से असेस किया है कि उस बच्चे ने उसमें कौन कौन से लर्निंग किया है? So ये बड़ी इंपॉर्टेंट है. लर्निंग आउटकम ऑफ प्रोजेक्ट और डिस्कशन will student will demonstrate ability for applied domain knowledge, critical thinking, communication skills, formulating and effective new solutions, apply systematic critical assessment, deploy appropriate techniques. These are all self-learning. Take initiative and learn from failures. These are the learning of the project. That's why we say project-based learning is something which teacher themselves has to learn and appreciate. Is also experiential learning. अब नॉर्मल क्लासरूम में क्या होता है, नॉर्मल प्रोजेक्ट का लैब असाइनमेंट में क्या होता है, कैन बी डन अलोन विद लिटिल और नो टीचर गाइडेंस और टीम कोलैबोरेशन. लैब में यही तो करते हैं, जहाँ उनको मैनुअल दे देते हैं. कैन बी आउटलाइन इन डिटेल बाय द टीचर आर यूज ईयर आफ्टर सेम एक्सपेरिमेंट यूज हो रहे हैं, सेम लैब प्रोजेक्ट यूज हो रहे हैं. टीचर वर्क अकर मेनली आफ्टर प्रोजेक्ट कंप्लीट. स्टूडेंट डू नॉट हैव ओपन अपॉर्चुनिटीज, ये प्रोजेक्ट ऐसे करना ही करना है, ये एक्सपेरिमेंट ऐसे करना ही करना है, एंड सो. सो काइंडली अप्रिशिएट between the normal way we are doing it, the lab assignments we are doing it. They are important. They are the first level of teaching. जैसे मैंने आपको लैब असाइनमेंट की, लैब वर्क की आउटकम बताई थी, दे आर द फर्स्ट लेवल. We are first level of training your students. But when it comes to teacher PBL, there requires collaboration and teacher guidance about the process, student directed, based on real world experiences. Real learning occurs through the project. Student choice determine the outcome. So in process-based learning approach, student teach students. तो एक ग्रुप में अगर काम कर रहे हैं, they are teaching. Remember, एक सबसे बढ़िया टीचिंग लर्न करने का तरीका है to teach each other. Please see this thing. Teaching each other is the best way of gaining knowledge. Students teach each other in a project. Teachers spend less time teaching individuals. Students खुद लर्न करते हैं, खुद ढूंढते हैं, खुद इम्प्लीमेंट करते हैं. Better prepared for the real world of work for this testing. तो टेस्टिंग खुद करते हैं. तो ये these are all helping this instructional method. When we are implementing project-based learning method, then we are imbibing these things in the students. Another, see, the key features are focus on learning. Any question, please?
Good morning, sir. Myself, Dr. Vishwanath, sir.
Please.
From Manipal. Sir, what we are discussing in this context of project-based learning,
Ji.
it is in the context of within the campus. As a part of student learning, this project-based learning can also be from the outside the campus.
Sure. It's all the institutional and the faculty's decision.
Yes.
This is only a instructional method of making a student learn what you want it.
Okay. So now in this context, sir, we would like to send students on internships.
Yes.
So this internship, when it is accounting for, say, some 6 months internship at the last semester of the students program. Okay. Now, generally, we plan to have this a full 1 semester major project in the last semester.
Right.
Now, considering employability, project-based learning, and outcome-based learning, everything into picture, we would encourage students to have 6 months internship, and that we would like to consider as a project. Whether this is acceptable, sir?
बिल्कुल acceptable है. See, issue, this is what I'm saying. We are doing all these things. What we are not doing, note that thing. I repeat, we students are doing projects. Students are doing internships. What we are lacking here is finding out what student has learned from that. In terms, he has learned about maybe knowledge. He might have developed some skill. But what about the effective domain learning as a human being?
So now when it comes to assessing that part, since the student will be in the industry as a part of non-disclosure agreements, etc., we will not be able to get the complete picture of what exactly the student has learned, then
No,
how
you
do
can
we
do
apply that?
rubrics. I will tell you that also. You can do this through rubrics. That is assessment. I have included that also. Supposing you want to find out what is the level of ethical behavior of the student, you prepare a rubric, get it evaluated by the industry people. You will be able to see what kind of ethics he has gained, what the kind of work what kind of behavior he has been doing that. You can do that. See, it all depends upon the assessment method. This is what I have been emphasizing. Our teaching and learning is good, but it should also be supplemented by the assessment. And assessment should be relevant assessment. When I say relevant assessment, what are we assessing it? Are we assessing his caring attitude? Are we assessing his problem solving skill? Are we assessing his ethical behavior? We have to do it assessment method. And assessment method mainly that we use here, mainly, there are others also, is a rubric. Now, your student go for the internship, good, they do the internship. Has he, how much honestly he has been, maybe let there are two students working on this, there may be one, even one. Suppose he is working on a software project. What is the plug? You will always say plagiarism to nahi hai. How much new things he has learned? How will you ascertain that? Ultimately, he comes up with a product. What is the learning here? Please, I'm repeatedly emphasizing it. It's the learning which is important. Because once you have learned at one place, the same learning can apply in another place, new place, and so on. Professor, does it satisfy you or no?
Okay. So, but ultimately, when it comes to documentation part, sir, about his learning being displayed to the, or rather accounting for his grading, we will employees refuse to give feedback as a part of assessment.
No, rubrics can be converted into grades. If you wish, we need another session on rubrics as a learning and assessment tool. I'll tell you how rubrics can be changed into grades and how this works as a learning tool for the students, for the teachers. It's a very powerful tool.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Professor Lata, you are very right. We are all doing it. Our teachers are doing excellent job. जो मैं concern feel करता हूँ, our assessment is weak. मैं जो जानना चाहता हूँ, when a student has done 6 months project, how much cooperative teamwork he has learned. Has he become a better team player? Has he become a better caring person? Has he developed better ethics? And so on. तो लर्निंग आप देखिए 6 महीने का आप जरूर करिए, लेकिन इसमें आप देखिए लर्निंग को असेस करिए जरूर. Without assessing learning, I will not be able to say how much student has gained. How to evaluate it? Good question. Through rubrics. I can evaluate these. I will have a 2 or 3 slides on assessing ethical behavior, assessing higher order thinking skills. I will just take, at the end, I will just dwell on that also. Descartes, without assessment, student will not be satisfied, teacher will not be satisfied. It will be purely passing the examination. No, learning examination is only one mode of assessment. But assessment of intangible learning, intangible skills, is not done through examination. It's done through other techniques. And those techniques OBE emphasizes, use those techniques. And assessment should be not only direct method, it should be by 2 methods, indirect methods and direct methods. So the method that I use, teaching learning instruction के लिए, should be amenable to these things. Yes, please. Very good questions. I'm very thankful to all the participants. Please answer the question, please. Okay. Now, what are the key features? Focus on learning rather than on teaching process. This is what I was saying. Focus on learning. Integrate knowledge and skill into different discipline domains. Students learn to manage the process and achieve the objective. This is what we do in the. Are the students doing it? Now, teaching and fostering higher order thinking skills among students via PBLA. Now, you can use project-based learning at any level, maybe at the first year level, maybe at a school level, maybe at the college level, maybe at the university level. Now, when I'm using it at the college level, what should the emphasis? अगर मान लीजिए थर्ड ईयर का स्टूडेंट है, I must address thinking skills. Thinking skills, they are cognitive domain. I must measure this thing. So lower order and higher order thinking skills are just remembering, manipulating, memorizing, and so on. Now, high PBL focuses on high content, basic ideas and issues taught in ways which actually engage student and reflect in thought. So higher order thinking skills are, analysis, evaluation, creativity, and so on. So OBE gives these things. So the time constraint, I'll just a little be faster. But if there are questions, I'll reply those questions also. Now, OBE stresses encouraging higher order thinking skills. When you are doing teaching learning here, then it says you should not only focus to the lower three skills, remembering, understanding, applying, but look for the higher order thinking skills. So far, please appreciate our emphasis of teaching learning has been we are very good at the lower order thinking skill. Emphasis on higher order thinking skill, that creativity, critical thinking has not been up to the level we want it. So if I want these to be emphasized, PBLA is very good. Now, the higher order thinking skills are important because they are non-algorithmic. I want students to solve problems which are realistic life problems. They may have multiple solutions. They involve judgments, interpretation of data. There are multiple criteria. There may be something easily going wrong. There will be self-reflection and so on. So the characteristics of higher order thinking are very relevant for success in life to handle the modern day thinking skills. And PBLA, now please see here, PBLA helps us to implement these things. Project-based learning approach or project-based learning as an instructional method helps us a student to train these things. How? Connect the concepts. Lead students through the process of how to connect one concept to another. By doing this, you are teaching them to connect what they already know and what they are learning. This level of thinking will help students learn to make connections whatever is possible, which will help them gain even more understanding. That is, now we are this method through PBLA is addressing those concerns which enable the student to solve real life problems. See, same concepts are not there in every problem. If you learned in one problem, you should be able to apply in another problem. Teach student to infer things, teach student to draw inferences by giving examples drawn from lab experiments or from real world examples. Encourage questioning, teach problem solving strategies, encourage creative thinking, and teach students to elaborate their answers. Never question students when they are answering your questions wrongly. Question them कि क्या गलती है, ये गलती हुई क्यों, इसका रीजन क्या था, what was the basis of this. You are enhancing the confidence of the students, because student loves to discuss these things with the teachers. If they find teacher is encouraging, teacher is supporting us, goal of teacher is making us to learn. So encourage students to elaborate their answers and talk about what they are learning. Higher order thinking requires students to to really understand concept, not repeat it or memorize it. So when a student is doing involved in project-based learning, then these become very important. How to implement PBL. Here are some suggested steps for implementing. Start with essential question. Design a plan for the project. Create a schedule. Monitor the students and the progress of the student. Assess the outcome. Evaluate the experience. So, choice of the real, I will now look at the assessment. Assessment is very important. This I am doing it with a view that if my method is to be successful to implement outcome-based learning, then assessment is very important. Assessment is the process of thinking and gathering data and information from multiple various sources in order to develop. Again, it's a learning thing also. The moment I start thinking, I learn it. The moment I start implementing, I learn it. And the way now, what required to be assessed? Assess करने में क्या क्या है? Social skill and responsibility, knowledge and discipline, practical communication skills, leadership and team skill, problem solving skill, managerial skill, and lifelong learning skill. Please appreciate these things. Can I assess these things? Is there any method which teaches all these things? Yes. Project-based learning instructional method teaches these things. And the proof is assessing these things. So in order, use the instructional method. It could be experiential method. In fact, that's also project-based learning method. Outcome-based assessment, again, knowledge, skill, attitude, behavior, and so on. So now there are direct methods, like the methods which are actual performance, indirect methods. Now, please see here. I want to direct methods you are familiar. Why do I need indirect methods? Indirect methods capture students' attitude, perceptions, or feelings about their learning. Affective domain थी ना, learning outcome, ethics, caring. This was a part of the learning in the affective domain. How do I assess that? Through indirect methods. Now, OBE says, when you are using any instructional method, deploy indirect methods also. Now, indirect methods, they help us to assess the learning in the affective domain. So, these are all, you are all familiar with this. So, linking learning outcome and assessment criteria, points of view. Linking learning and assessment criteria. Again, intended learning outcome, assessment method, and learning methods are accordingly like that. So linking learning, teaching learning activity, learning outcome and assessments. Properly here. Lecture, tutorial, discussion, laboratory, cognitive domain I have discussed earlier. The method, the assessment tools are end-term examination, multiple, viability, and so on. Now, in group work and affective domain is our rubric. Lab experiment, psychometer, performance, project work, rubric, and so on. So there are specific methods like this. So assessing issue is assessing intangible and indefinable attributes. Ethics is a attitude, motivation, leadership and reasoning, creativity, innovation, critical thinking. These are intangible. I can't measure them with any, let's say, measuring tool. Communication skills, artwork, music awareness. So these are also psychomotor, precision. These are intangible skills. How do I measure them? I measure them with the help of rubrics. The rubric is a self-learning assessment and evaluative tool for learners that establish goals and expectations for learning establishment standard, providing guidelines for teaching and learning, providing measures of proficiency and accountability, can be directly linked to program outcome. So I think I will stop it here. I've just wanted to you to become aware of these things, because the measurement of the affective domain learning through rubrics is very important, and this should be a part of the instructional method. And PBL is one instructional method which fulfills is student is outcome based, is fulfilled, and so on. So if you want to win the 21st century, you have to empower others, making sure their other people are better than you. Then you will be able to successful. Please note this thing. I must train my student that they are better than me. They will be grateful to you. They will be and OBE enables us to bring out those qualities which are required and appreciated by the students in the modern age. Modern students are very well aware of these things, and they would certainly like to learn things which are good. Now, any questions, please? I want to spend these few minutes on questions.
Sir, one question.
Please.
Sir, why and how we use this employer survey, alumni survey for what attainment?
Now, see here, employee survey. What employer comes from to us? What for? To look at the students who are good, knowledge. They can look at examination, whether students are cooperative, whether students are ethical, whether students are caring, whether students help each other, whether students handle the difficult problems, new problems with patience, whether they are a good team player. How will they assess it? How will you tell them my students are a very good team player? Is there any way? Examination, no. Test, no. So if you prepare few rubrics and tell the students also and encourage them that by doing these activities, you will be better appreciated, you will be better ethical person. This is what industry and likes it. You show to the industry, they will believe you, and hence you are making their, see, they may be good already, they know about it. As I said, there may be 15-20% students who are already good, who are already caring. What were other 80%? OB says every student is a potential learner. Every student is a good. He can be made, he can be improved, he can be made a successful human being. How can I do that? By implementing these methods, by marrying these methods, and so on. Does it satisfy you or no, please?
Okay, sir, but how do we use the results for attainment of POs or PEOs?
That is a different lecture. That we have to look at the mapping, etc. Right? वो भी हो सकता है. अभी इस लेक्चर में तो हमारा गोल डिफरेंट था, but we can do that also. That how to design our course outcomes, as how to design our learning. See, I was using generic learning outcome word. I was not saying course outcome, program outcome purposely, because our goal is this. Now, when I'm looking at the course outcome, program outcome, then I will define them, measure them, map them, measure them, and then show how much is the mapping. वो different topic हो जाता है. Yes, Pramod Kumar ji, what is your question, please?
Hello, sir. I am Pramod from Manipal Institute of Technology.
Please.
Sir, I have two questions.
Please.
Can you hear me, sir?
Yes, I can.
Sir, the first one is regarding the first year assessment.
Yes.
As I understand, these first year courses are more of fundamental courses.
Right.
So when we frame the questions during the assessment, as per our PO standards, it will start from level apply. But since these are very fundamental courses, is it correct in frame the question in understanding level? Is it correct in doing so? Or should we start only from apply?
Wait a minute. See, it's good if they are fundamental questions.
Yes.
You apprise them about those questions, about those aspects, assess them, and at the same time see how much they can apply those concepts. Let me give you an example. Suppose you teach about Newton's second law, right?
Okay.
There is a friction.
Okay.
You have taught everything about that.
Okay.
Now you just ask him, when I pull a tanga,
Correct.
I will put lot of pressure in the beginning.
Right,
क्यों?
sir. Right.
क्यों? ये तो फंडामेंटल है, लेकिन यहाँ पर अंडरस्टैंडिंग और एप्लीकेशन आ गई ना.
Yes.
अंडरस्टैंडिंग ये थी कि उसमें फ्रिक्शन ज्यादा थी, उस फ्रिक्शन को ओवरकम करने के लिए आई हैड टू पुट लॉट ऑफ प्रेशर.
Right, sir.
तो ये जो आपने क्लास में फंडामेंटल चीज पढ़ाई, बट नाउ इज अप्लाइंग दैट.
Okay.
So this is again upon the teacher. when I say ना connect the concepts, मैंने आपको थोड़ा दिया था ना थोड़ा सा
Yes, sir.
स्टूडेंट को रेडी करने के लिए you train them on these lines. You tell them there is action, there is a reaction, there is a first law, and then where these laws are applicable. You tell them for three, give them examples of four another also. Now you are exciting, you are igniting students' brain to think of those lines. This is what OB wants. You
Okay.
ignite the student's brain or thinking to apply what you have done with them.
Right, sir.
Am I right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. One more, sir.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Just
one more,
request.
sir.
Yes.
Can we have a quiz as an assessment, sir?
Yes, you can have it, but not for everything.
MCQs. I'm talking about multiple choice
Yes, you
questions.
can have MCQ. You can have. See, this is but as long as you can prove
Okay.
that this assessment is able to give me these results, I'll accept that.
Okay.
MCQ is yes. Have taken a simple. Pose this question yourself. I want to assess problem solving skill of the student.
Right, sir.
ये तो आप इसको कैसे करेंगे जब तक एमसीक्यू में तो यू कैन टेक फ्यू क्वेश्चंस अब न्यू प्रॉब्लम है तो न्यू के लिए तो आपको डिफरेंट डिफरेंट मेथड देखना पड़ेगा अच्छा अब हम देखते हैं कि ये इस बच्चे का एटीट्यूड कैसा है
Okay.
यू देयर आर सम स्टूडेंट का रहने कोई बात नहीं हो जाएगा जी ये मुझे आता है जी नो द स्टूडेंट ना तो हियर यू हैव टू चेक हिज माइंडसेट हाउ डू यू
Right.
चेक देयर माइंडसेट by designing certain criteria as a part of the rubric and telling the student if you do this you will be able to demonstrate this if you do this you will demonstrate this that means this aspect this responsibility first lies on the shoulder of the student sorry teachers then you will be able to say this student has improved himself or herself in problem solving skills. Now he can solve more difficult problem. He's not a Bagoda type. यार छोड़ो सर मैं नहीं कर सकता.
Right,
And
sir. Right.
third question.
Sir, one more. In continuation of this question, can I take these quiz or MCQs assessment for CO attainment computation?
तो नहीं attainment के लिए no
No.
no. देखिए एक और सुनिए. These are all empirical, mind you.
Okay.
If you can come out with a better method, it's good. The empirical है. The rule is 10 plus 10 is not 20. 10 plus 12 can be 25. 10 plus 10 can be 50. But they provide us the guidelines. They provide us the basis.
Okay. So that means if it is just an MCQs, we cannot consider for CO attainment computation then.
For yes, that's right.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Pramod. Yes, Krishna Bandru, please.
This is in continuation with the previous question, that is alumni survey and employer survey and course end survey. Do we require to make use of these surveys such a way that we have to come out as a quantitatively or qualitatively to include in the CO and PO and PO's attainment?
Now see here, Professor. See, Professor, OB says the learning of the student will be cognitive and affective. Affective means उसका mind में क्या है? अब देखिए, I deliver a course. Am I a good teacher or not? You can't judge it by direct method. You have to take the feedback. You have to ask the student, ask the questions. Now, if you are to find the mind of the student about anything or mind of teacher about anything, we have to use feedback method, that is the indirect method. And indirect method is important because otherwise it is like telling the feelings of X about Y. That's why indirect method becomes important. If I don't use indirect method, then I have, without indirect method, I have no way of judging the learning in the affective domain. जैसे मान लीजिए बात कर रहे थे हम लोग केयरिंग की बात कर रहे थे या शेयरिंग की बात कर रहे थे या एथिक्स की बात कर रहे थे. Is there any way of teaching and assessing? Now, teaching without assessing is not considered important in OBE. OBE says, demonstrate me whatever you are saying. Now, if I say my student they are very ethical, they are very moralistic, then I have to demonstrate that. Now, in order to demonstrate that, I have to use a method which is accepted, which is according to the learning I am doing, that is the affective domain, and that is the indirect method. There is no other way of except doing indirect method because it's something about getting the feeling of the individual. Am I able to answer, Krishna ji?
Yes, sir. Actually, just to further to my understanding, do we require to quantify or qualitatively it is sufficient?
Quantify, you see, rubric we can convert into grades, but that's also empirical. We need to be conscious whenever we want to calculate the first division, second division, third division. No, so we convert into grade. Once I prepare a rubric, I can convert into grades, and then I can quantify. That's the only quantity. This will be again empirical, but it will be convincing empirical. It will not be exact. It will be empirical but convincing.
Okay. Thank you, sir.